All right, we got a quick video today, and it's all about your fiduciary role as an estate administrator and what that all means. So, in its simplest form, acting as a fiduciary means that you are sworn to act in the best interest of another party on their behalf. Now, I know that seems pretty simple, but there is more meat to it than just not screwing somebody over. In fact, acting as a fiduciary, you're going to be held to one of the highest standards that the law can demand. So this means you really need to act with care and diligence. Okay? So how do you know if you are actually a fiduciary for an estate? Well, most people think that if they were named in the will, they're the executor, and by proxy, they're a fiduciary. But that's not actually the case. You are not a fiduciary until you've been qualified and confirmed in the county probate court. As a matter of fact, just because you were named executor in the will doesn't mean you're the executor until you go through this process. But once the court has qualified you, then the role of fiduciary comes along with that qualified title. So what does this role look like when you're administrating an estate? First, you're going to have to operate with honesty and integrity. That I know that should go without saying, but it is something that you've got to live by. Basically, just don't do anything illegal or shady. This is one of the reasons that I always suggest most personal representatives to retain an attorney, because there are some things that you might not know that can get you into trouble, and the attorney can make sure that you're on the straight and narrow path. Second, and this is the one that most people don't know, you can't just let estate assets languish. You've got to put them to work. And this can be as simple as putting extra cash that's not needed to settle the debts into an interest-bearing CD, or it can be more complicated, like putting those assets into a property remodel for a higher sale price. You, as the personal representative, can collaborate with any of the beneficiaries to determine the best course of action, and I recommend you do so. As the executor, it is your legal right to do what you feel is best without having to collaborate with anyone. But the most friction can really be avoided by getting all the beneficiaries on the same page, by having them all agree upon and sign an agreement on the course of action for the real estate or the personal property at large. You can really mitigate future disputes and time in the courtroom. I know that dealing with the death of a loved one is hard enough without adding family strife to the mix, and it's sometimes easier said than done, but you really should shoot for that. It's the reason I have a very skilled family mediator on call for my clients should negotiations break down during the process. Third, you really should do your due diligence to get a good combination of quality and price for the services done on behalf of the estate. Court oversight can be extended to make sure that you aren't grossly overpaying for services or you don't sell any property for well below value. And this is to protect the heirs from unscrupulous actors. So, for example, if you knew a plumber and you decided you were going to pay them $5,000 for a $300 job, right? You collaborated beforehand, and then you're going to split the overpayment amount. You could easily get hit with some very stiff penalties. This sort of stuff goes back to the honesty and integrity thing, but claiming ignorance of grossly overbid work will only get you so far. Seek out and know your options for your area, compare, read reviews, etc. I do this on behalf of the families I work with, but if you decide to go it alone, you need to do your due diligence. Now, I want to make an important point here. Just because you're bound as a fiduciary to administer an estate in the most beneficial manner does not mean that you should cheap out and find the cheapest option for every need and service. As a matter of fact, this can result in a very negative outcome because to a degree, you get what you pay for. And also, you may actually be at a net loss by cheaping out versus making a well-informed decision about those you bring on to help. A quick example is one that I see often. So a personal representative decides that they can save money by taking care of everything themselves. It's a fairly small estate. How hard can it be, right? Well, they may be fully capable of doing a great job, but they simply don't know what they don't know. I mean, none of us deals with probate every day except for the attorneys, the clerk of court, and folks like myself. So the executor pays off all the debts and sells the house as a for sale by owner. But for some reason, they see they're getting a ton of solicitation now, and the offers for the house are all under asking price. Now, if they hired an attorney, not only would their workload decrease, but the attorney could have negotiated with the creditors for up to a 50% reduction of the payment. And if they hired a good realtor with probate experience, and I stress that, probate experience, then they could have again reduced their workload tremendously, but also gotten market value or higher and much less solicitation. There are other benefits to hiring an attorney and a good realtor, and I won't go into all the reasons why in this video, but these are very realistic scenarios. The point is, it takes money to make money, and in probate, spending in the right areas for the right people can create a net positive to just handling everything on your own. It's your responsibility as a fiduciary to discover these efficiencies in these people if you don't have someone like myself helping you out. So remember, options often equal more equity saved, happier heirs, and less issues. I can't imagine anyone doesn't want that to be the outcome when administering an estate. If you've got more questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to discuss your situation. Even if you're not in the Northern Virginia, DC area, I can always connect you to someone in your area who knows your area, the professionals around you, and can answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I wish you the best.